This week on London Real, we have adventurer, artist, and freerunner Timothy Shieff.
For me, spirituality isn't anything to do with talking. It's nothing. It's all about action. If you grow your faith in yourself and your abilities, then fear shrinks. I want to surround myself with the right people, and I'm amazed at how many of the right people have turned up at my doorstep. No animals need to be killed on our land because we've got an abundance of fruit and vegetables and everything we need from all over the world. Are you willing to give up a bit of convenience for actually being mindful and making a decision based on spiritual beliefs? Okay, we care about the dolphins. How about you care about the cows in your own backyard? They don't deserve what they get. I've only ever messed up when my mind wasn't present. It's not about me anymore. My life isn't about me. It's about what I can offer and give back.
London Real presents Timothy Shieff, professional kid.
Fear isn't real. Danger is real.
And we are back on London Real. I'm coming at you from Shoreditch, where there's a special offer behind me for shoplifters welcome. It looks like they're giving away free money for this decade only. Definitely a lot going on in that piece of art. Come on down here and check it out if you're in the neighborhood. This week on the show, we have a gentleman that's kind of becoming a good friend of mine. His name is Mr. Timothy Shieff. He is an artist, an adventurer, a freerunner, and a professional kid. And I first met Tim, or became aware of Tim, maybe 2 years ago. And I remember having a coffee with him by Old Street. He had much shorter hair. He was a bit quieter. And we convinced him to come on the show about 18 months ago, and you can watch that show. It's called Free Running and Free Thinking, and you get to see a Timothy that's about 18 months younger, and wow, has this guy changed. He's just become a completely different human. He grows exponentially, I would say, as the days go by. Tim embraced veganism a long time ago, and he is just kind of on this adventure with himself around the world, and you could say he's a very spiritual guy, but like he says, his version of spirituality is it's not what you think, but it's the things that you do. A little motorcycle action there. And Tim has a very interesting way about approaching his spirituality. And what I find interesting about Tim is that I always forget he's such a talented freerunner. And if you look at some of the pictures on his homepage, you'll see him hanging from the Williamsburg Bridge from 70 feet up above an I-beam. And if you've seen him recently on American Ninja Warrior, he's competing stuff that's just really impressive. And it's hard to believe that he's not only so well-spoken, but also such a talented physical athlete. So Tim's fantastic. I think he also might have gotten arrested at the climate change protests on Sunday. There were some pictures of him in an anonymous mask, and I would expect nothing less of Tim. So I hope you enjoy him. He is highly outspoken on veganism, and I think it's a great place to give him a platform to talk about it. So I let him talk, and I think he's got a really interesting way of looking at it. And I haven't decided to make the jump yet, but if I do, or if I even go a day or two a vegan, it'll be because of Tim, because he does make me think about it and think about the choices that we make when we consume our food and why we do it. So there you go. There's Tim as I walk and give you some nice little pieces of street art here in Shoreditch. We got R.I.P. Grandma at the bottom of that one. And man, this is some stuff that's just free on the walls. Like, how lucky am I, right? And speaking of art, I always ask people, how do you make a first impression? And online, it's going to be your website. And that's why it has to be beautiful and look fantastic. And that's why our site is brought to you by the guys at Squarespace. They're an all-in-one platform that lets you build your online portfolio or website and make it the best it can be. It's got simple functionality, drag and drop. You can even set up your site right now without even putting any money in. And then if you do decide, it's like $8 a month to turn it on. And you can always use the code London and get 10% off that purchase, and just make it happen. And you know, we worked hard on our website. You can see bits of it here. So when you go into episodes, you can search by success, by psychedelics, by all these different topics, and kind of drill down. And we just wanted our site to be really nice when you come there. So check that out, and check out Squarespace. It's the first thing I say to people when they're like, oh, I need a website. Just go there. You can literally have it set up like within an hour, and it'll look fantastic. So big thanks to those guys for supporting the show. We don't take that lightly. And while you're on the site, click on the gear button, and you can get one of these beautiful things I'm sporting here. I'm wearing my colors, man, my London Real colors. And I'm letting people know what I do with my spare time, which is listening to fascinating people like former CIA members Ray McGovern that everyone's loving, or astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, or what just hit 500,000 views, which was our show on DMT that I did probably over a year ago now, and never expected it to be our most popular video ever on London Real. And you know, that's just been amazing, and a lot of great support there, and it's just interesting to see that happened. So if you want to pick up a shirt, just click on the gear and you'll go there. They'll ship anywhere in the world, and it just supports the show and lets people know what you're doing. So there you go, getting a little quieter as we go towards Arnold Circus here in Shoreditch. And just before I go, we've got Adam Scorgi coming up next week. He's back in town for the premiere, the European premiere of his movie The Culture High, which is kind of the sequel to his movie The Union, The Business of Getting High, which was hugely popular and successful. People starring in this movie will be Joe Rogan again, Sir Richard Branson, Snoop Dogg, Wiz Khalifa. I believe he's even got Annie Michon and Professor David Nutt, both former guests on the show. And so we're really excited to have Adam back in town and tell us about his journey, because we had him here right after he had done his crowdfunding platform, and he was filming the show when he was in London. So fantastic to see that coming to fruition, and really excited about that coming up. And finally, just want to give a big shout out to the folks at Bulletproof. If you're not aware, they make a coffee that's free of molds and toxins. You mix it up with grass-fed butter. I just had mine, and some brain octane oil, and boom, your morning is set, your diet is set, your life is set. But for more details on the diet, he's coming out with a book. It's called The Bulletproof Diet. You can pre-order now by clicking on the book here. And if you do that, you can get 9 free videos sent to you right away. Just send them a copy of the screenshot on Amazon where you pre-order, and they'll send you the videos. I'm really excited for this book. It's been hugely subscribed for it by now. And yeah, just big shout out to the Bulletproof guys. Love what they're doing. Love the way they look at life. And there you go. Wrapping this up here as we cruise up Arnold Circus, and I'm just thinking about all the dope stuff Timothy Shieff's about to drop on your dome. If you're looking for any extra podcasts to help you pass the time, definitely check out our buddies at The Art of Charm. That's Jordan Harbinger, who was on our show about 2 years ago when we went out to be on Rogan in LA. And these guys provide a basic toolkit when it comes to men interacting with women, but it's more than that. It's about how to network. It's about how being a better guy and just being a better man. And they have fantastic people on their show, including people that we have on our show, including Ryan Holiday, who I just bumped into in Shoreditch. I'm not kidding. Tim Ferriss. Yeah, the list goes on. And it's just a fantastic site. Great toolkit. So go to iTunes and do The Art of Charm, or go to theartofcharmpodcast.com and check those guys out. And there you go. That's it for business. I highly encourage you to check out Timothy Shieff's show reel. I put a bit of it in this pre-roll, in the teaser trailer for Tim, and look at some of those still photos, because it's easy to forget that Tim has a lot of fantastic things in his mind, but he's also a really, really sick athlete, and probably he is the best in the world at what he does. So it's always good to get that perspective. You know, I've never free run with Tim, and I will do it one of these days. He really is no joke. So now I leave you with the fantastically spiritual Mr. Timothy Shieff. Here we go. This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Mr. Timothy Shieff, who is an adventurer, an artist, a free runner, and professional kid. You have. I call myself. I love that handle. You have twice won the World Free Running Championships. Yep. You've been in countless commercials, music videos. You've got a crazy show reel up on YouTube. It's ridiculous. You host the Flow Show on YouTube channel Flow. Yep. You are an outspoken vegan, a free spirit, a world traveler. Yeah. Tim, welcome back to London Real.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be back.
Dude, it's good to have you here.
I was a guest once again.
I know, right? Because you've been co-host like the last 5 times you were here.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was looking through our history, and you first came on the show in February 2013, like 18 months ago. Wow. And like, you look like a different guy.
Yeah, I've got longer hair.
Yeah.
But you're just generally, yeah.
You're so different, you know, and I had someone that came in here the other day, this week, and they wanted to ask about doing an online talk show, and I was trying to give them some tips, and they were asking me like how we do this, how we do that. And at the end I was like, you know, I wish you all the luck, and you should do this. But I said I wouldn't wish this on anyone, because you got to be insane, I think, sometimes to do this, because like this isn't really. I don't know what this is.
Envy the workload that you have putting in. I see 5 cameras pointing at me. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think that I don't even know if this definitely isn't a business. I wouldn't qualify it as. I think it's like an art project that's kind of keep going on in perpetuity.
Yeah, passion project. It excites you, I think.
It does, and so one of the benefits of doing that is I get to meet super cool people. And as you know, we've been here. You were here for Kelly Starrett, Bruce Perry, Beardy Men, Adam Grant.
Forgot about all them.
Jason Silva.
Yeah. Yeah, I did quite a few.
Yeah, I forgot there was that many. I remember like every time I rang you up, it was like a super sick guest, and I was like, Jesus, you know.
Ido Portal though, I wanted that one.
Yeah, I know you wanted Ido. We're going to talk about Ido.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, just to finish up, the one thing I get to do is I get to see all these cool people and like get to meet people like you. And I remember meeting you 2 years ago. We had a coffee on Old Street at Eat, and I was just getting to know you, and we were talking about you coming on the show.
Yeah,
and like
you were feeling me out, seeing like, can we have? Is this guy fit with the show?
I think you were feeling me out a little bit too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it's just cool to watch you grow, man. You're such a different person, man. You're like you know, you're just a different vibe, and you're really spiritual, and you're like kind of a, you know, you're kind of a young man now. And I don't know if you were then, or maybe you were, but you really were
always being and always becoming.
Yeah,
and always being, always becoming something.
And it's a different vibe, man. So it's just a real pleasure for me to see that, man. I just always love.
Oh, thank you very much, man.
Seeing you hanging out and stuff. And I was wondering if what's different, you think?
You too, though. You seem just genuinely just happier, more chilled.
Thank you, man. Was I a little edgy back then?
A little more edgy, yeah.
Yeah, I probably
was that less coffee or more the right coffee? Or what?
Yeah, I think it's just more, a lot of things, man. I think it's a lot more love.
Yeah, I feel that, definitely.
Yeah, well, that's good. I got still a long ways to go. But yeah, it's funny because I remember I saw one of your videos and you said every action is out of love or a cry for love.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about
I don't think it was mine, just in case.
Yeah, I know. But
I always get quoted with things that I'm like, that's not me. That was some like, you know, that they just summed up what we wanted to do. But it's
a good phrase. And I was thinking, is that why I made London real? Is that a cry for love? And then I was like, oh Jesus, that's a rabbit hole to go in. But if it is, that's okay. But no, it's been good, and it's been good for me. And yeah, I feel different. But you know, you definitely have a different vibe. And what do you think is different about you in the last 18 months or 2 years? And I remember when I first met you, you were like, you know, I'm getting more acting gigs and more to be in front of the camera. And you said something to me. You're like, you know, I think that's okay. I think it's okay for me to be in front of the camera to just kind of spread a message of this. And
maybe just getting more comfortable in front of the camera, because it really, being on camera, it's like everything you think every day in your head, and then suddenly it's real because the world is watching or has the option of watching, you know.
Right.
So it's like so comfortable when you're at home to think these thoughts, but then actually to spiel it when you're in a situation with someone you've just met and there's cameras on you, it makes such a difference. You must feel that as well. You can have, you know, such clear thoughts, but as soon as there's this view on you, these eyes watching, it's hard to find that same flow.
Yeah.
You know, the purity's gone because you're aware that you're being witnessed, and
right, and then
I'm just getting more comfortable in that position, you know.
Right, and since you're on YouTube and being filmed a lot, you get kind of one take, and they take the take, and then that goes.
Yeah, well, sometimes I just get practice generally, but also what I find really lucky in a way, but it's kind of awkward at the same time, is I get to see myself. I get to see myself on TV, on cameras. And you know, it's constantly working. You see, and I've even heard Russell Brand. It didn't take me long to drop his name in, did it?
That's right. I want to talk about Russell.
but I've seen him before talk about he's watching his own show, and he's like, oh, that bit annoys me already, like of his own live show. And it's like, yeah, he's constantly assessing his own work, his own words, and it's hard. Sometimes I just I know that was awkward. I don't want to watch that at all. But sometimes you have to just watch yourself and then learn from it, so that if you have a message that you believe is important and should be heard, then you can improve yourself, and so then the next time you speak about it, you can deliver in a better way. And that's, I guess, part of the chapters of things I've been working on.
Is that kind of what you've been doing? And then
not intentionally in the background, it's just one of those things.
Are you critical of yourself as much these days as you used to be?
Yeah, I think you always are.
Physical movements, or just with the way you talk and
Everything.
everything?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I think we all are. But
I guess we all are. I guess, but since you've been on camera for so long,
less serious. I don't take it seriously. I can laugh it off.
Right. Okay.
If I did something awkward or I don't like the look of something, I'm so quick to move on.
Right.
I think that's becoming more in the present.
Right. Same with me. Since we publish every week, it's like I can do something stupid. I'll be like, all right, that was stupid, but it's out there forever.
It's out there.
And I think you learn better that way when it actually goes out.
Absolutely.
Because you're responsible and then make changes and stuff. So is there a more spiritual side to you? You got this group, the Modern Spirit Warriors of London.
Yes.
Somebody wanted to ask me about that. You look different. You know, you got the bandana, your hair's longer, and like, you know, you are into this more vibe. Is this something you're feeling about yourself?
Yeah, I think that's the future. I think we need it. I think London needs it. And, you know, I think Russell Brand speaks of a revolution so confidently that I'm starting to believe it.
Really?
Yeah, and so I want to be prepared. I want to surround myself with the right people, and I'm amazed at how many of the right people have turned up at my doorstep just literally in the last few weeks or months. And we're really putting together something special that I think if the world knew existed, they'd be quite impressed. And it's only going to grow and grow until it has no choice but to be recognised by London maybe firstly, and then, you know, movements all over the world from then.
You know, my ayahuasca shaman, she told me one time, she said, I want to go to Peru. She's like, I just want to go to Peru. But every time, you know, she does an ayahuasca ceremony and she drinks, she's like, Mother Ayahuasca tells me I'm needed in London. Because when you get this urban environment, you know, there's so much tension and negativity, and we're a mile away from the banks, and there's all this pressure. And she's like, she's needed here to heal in these urban environments. Is that the way you feel like London needs it?
Yeah, I was very close to moving to LA end of this year.
Really?
And, you know, it's something I've been putting off for a few years, and I thought finally the time's right to go. The weather, the exotic, the training I could get on with out there, the people, the community. But right now, London, I've started to build this community in London, or it's building, and I'm a part of it, and I want to really help grow that. I think it's integral. I'm very happy where I am in London right now. I've found a loving place for it in my heart, and I think it's very exciting times. I
think, like, and I'm being stereotypical of LA, and I am Californian, by the way, but maybe we need you more in London than in California. Maybe there are people like you in LA, but there's not a lot of people like you in London, you know?
Yeah, no, and that's it. I think you're right there. So I'm going to stick with it for now. And then, as you know, what I want to do is get it to a point where it's self-reliant, and I don't need to be here as much, and I can go back. I mean, I'm still going to go back and forth, but more so. But it's basically, I'll speak on the movement because otherwise it sounds so like, you know, I'm trying to build, there are a lot of calisthenics movements growing now. Even in London, there's like Wham Bros and all these calisthenic movements popping up, Spartan Fam. And I respect them a lot because they're doing a lot of good things for their communities. They're getting the kids out. I've been to some of these parks and I see 12-year-olds speaking of their heroes, or these calisthenic guys from Kennington Park, or, you know, and that's great that they have these idols that aren't
block workout,
which exactly, Mr. Block Workout. But you know, that strengthens your body, and anyone can, not anyone, but you know, people have really strong bodies and they can do 100 chin-ups in a few sets and press-ups and that. But how strong is their mind? You know, so I want to just show people the next step. You know, for us, it's mind, body, and spirit. So your body can be strong, you can do all the chin-ups in the world, but if you're hanging, you know, from a crane 100 feet up, 200 feet up, do you trust that body? How many times have you fallen off a bar hanging in the park? Most people never. So what makes you think you're going to fall when you're 100 feet up? Do you have faith in that? And that's what I want to work on, is not just the body, it's the mind as well. It's building that faith, you know, it's overcoming fear. And as I say, fear and faith can't exist at the same time. If you grow your faith in yourself and your abilities, then fear shrinks. It's not being stupid or reckless or, you know, ignoring fear. It's having so much faith that fear has no space to exist anymore. And that's what I want to work on, not just having a strong body. And that's what, for me, parkour always was. But people never identify it. People have identified Sebastian or someone maybe. But, you know, parkour isn't just about, it's physical strength, because the best parkour athletes are amazing athletes, so strong, every inch of their body, every finger, every toe. It's strong, athletic. But they have their minds as well. You know, it's like calisthenics, but with the mental aptitude as well. And that's what we want to work on. And then the spirit comes into it with the veganism, you know, the mindfulness attitude to everything that we're doing. And I think it's a very holistic approach. And at the moment, we're called Spirit Warriors, But, warriors, even then, it feels kind of egotistical to think like, yeah, we're fighting, We're warriors more in the terms of Cupid and hopefully spreading love by bettering ourselves and understanding who we are and our bodies and having more faith, then we can treat other people nicely.
And you said warriors, you said revolution earlier. What is the revolution?
I think all these words are quite, a bit more forceful, and we don't want to be, it's not about forceful, it's just about a gentle nudge, changing the direction slowly, shifting the rudder of the ship, not just like smashing it and changing direction. It's like there are a lot more young, for me, so I always go back to this, and I don't like the people to think that I alienate, but veganism is such a huge chapter within this, and the young people I meet these days, Londoners, young boys of all ethnicities, and girls as well, that are vegan, that have come to it on their own, people that have never met another vegan in 2 years until they've met us lot or something, and they've just been doing it on their own quietly, and they're having their own revolutions in their head, and that's what we said, the next revolution will be the revolution of self, of us taking the power back. And if all these people, we vote with our pound, and as this is what we want more organic food, we want locally grown produce, as we slowly become more and more aware of this with the help of the internet, that's where everyone's going to go. We're going to start putting our money that way, and we're going to grow that. And it won't be like a big overhaul of government like V for Vendetta style Anonymous, although I'm sure they might be involved in some way, but we'll see. I think it's generally just a revolution of self that then slowly changes it, and you see it now with Scotland, the vote to be free from Britain, and
that's going to be
Cameron's afraid.
Yeah,
I just love watching the truths because that's where I get my info from with that. But he just puts it in such a good way and pretty neutral way, and you see it for what it is.
So this spiritual revolution, to not talk about the diet, that's part of the body. So it's funny because you talk about these movements, like these calisthenic movements, or even like block workout. And I'm talking to the guy, I want to have him on, and they have this community and they do the physical, but then it's like, there's their one step further where they're not really talking about a mentality or a spirituality. Is that because it feels like that's missing sometimes?
That's what we're doing.
And how do you teach that without embracing a religion, or how do you do that? Like, what do you talk about?
Because you get people to challenge themselves where they're, they built a free running park where I live just randomly, and I'm down there most days now with the kids and that. And sometimes the most times they're sweating is when they're stood in a thin scaffolding bar, 8 foot in the air. And they're sweating because, they're afraid. They're like, okay, but they know they've done it 100 times on a bar that's waist high, and they can do all the chin-ups and they can do height drops and everything, but as soon as there's an actual challenge, they're sweating. And when they do that, it humbles people, Challenging yourself mentally and doing something that you're slightly scared of, but it tests you, but you know that you can do it, and having faith and then trusting that faith and actually overcoming and doing it, it humbles you, and that's what it's doing to these people.
What's the scariest move you did? I didn't realize the kind of stuff that you do, because for some reason, when I had watched footage of you in the past, I'd seen you competing, I'd seen you, in the parkour competitions, but then I see pictures of you in bridges and stuff like that, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Tim. Is that something you've always pushed yourself to do? Is that something in the last couple of years, or have you always done that? And why are you doing that?
To some degree, not to that element, to that level. I'm doing it now. And the photos you're referring to, I recently did a photo shoot in New York with a friend. Great. And I was hanging from the bottom of the Williamsburg Bridge.
That was the Williamsburg Bridge?
Yeah, maybe 70 foot up.
Was it a scaffolding there, or a piece of
No, it was just the I-beam.
The I-beam, okay.
I love I-beams, they're the best. They're good grip.
Okay.
But they're for me are real tests of faith. In those moments, I just go, I know I can do it. And it's weird. So I climbed the frame of the whole thing up like 70 feet, and then I shimmied out across it, and then, from standing on top of the I-beam to hanging on it is maybe 5 different grabs, and then you're hanging just on your fingertips 70 foot below, and my friend in the distance snapping on a long lens, and about 4 or 5 passers-by that spotted it with him. And it's kind of, I'm just witnessing, I'm just watching myself go through the motions. I decided to do it, and it's such a meditation, because it's like I'm not in my body. My body's done everything that it needs to do 1,000,000 times before. It knows, it does every step along the way. It checks everything. There's no like moment where it's like a gamble where you suddenly jump in and, oh, okay, I'm safe. You know, it's
right.
Everything's controlled, and one move at a time, you could probably do everything that I'm doing in those photos, but do you have the faith to do it?
Right.
And that's what I want to work on. And I don't think life is as black and white as people seem to think, or as random. I don't believe in coincidence, but people think accidents can happen, you know, one blow of wind or a slip from this. And my own experience of life, which is all I can go on, is that life doesn't work like that. I've only ever messed up when my mind wasn't present. When I've been stressed about something, anxious about something in the future, or pissed off about something in the past. That's when I stub my toe, when I'm like going to take the trash out and I'm hassling about my bank that I've got to go sort out later, or something, you know. That's when I stub my toe. And that's a lesson saying, hey, be present.
Be present.
And if you don't listen in those moments and you stub your toe and then you're angry that you stub your toe and you don't recognize the reason you stub your toe, then the lesson's going to be a bit harder and you might bang your head. And then you might, you know, break your finger, and then you might get in a car accident because when you were driving along you were angry about your wife that you should never have married in the first place or something, you know. And these are, life gives you lessons along the way, from my experience, from my observations. And I think ayahuasca is one way to get a quick hit of all of it in one go, but I think life generally is giving you a longer ayahuasca trip if you're observant in your.
Yeah, that's a good observation. I'd say that's true. When you're shimmying up this, you know, this bridge, I mean, for a good 10 minutes or 15 minutes, you know, your life is very close to being over.
It could be.
It could be. So your adrenaline's probably naturally up, but you're probably very much in control. But I'm guessing
it's exactly that.
Can you feel it, that I've got a little extra adrenaline in me?
You feel it when you get down, and you're just like.
Do you get exhausted after you get down?
Yeah, that was the first real point of call of the day, was that Williamsburg Bridge. And he said, I mean, if you want to, like, and then afterwards he said, I've never sworn so much in my life taking a photo. But he gave me the option. He said, well, you know, I mean, he's lived in New York for a few years. He spotted a few locations that he thought would look good on camera. He's like, you know, there's this bridge up here. And I was like, cool, let's do it. And before I even, like...
Yeah, had you seen it the day before? Had you mentally prepared for it?
No, which is best.
Which is better.
He offered to show me. I said no. Yeah.
So then you saw it and you're like, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to go up there and check it out? Or
I just said, yeah,
I'm going to do it. Okay.
Just climb it. Just go so long as all you do is check every stage, every single hold at a time.
Okay.
And, you know, there wasn't one hold I didn't think was 100% wasn't going to be able to hold on to.
Okay. And if there wasn't, you would have aborted?
I would have aborted, you know, and you have to... And that's the training, is tuning in, and you can do it with whatever you're doing. You could do it, a chef could do it with cooking food, whether it puts too much salt in or not. Is learning what is telling you not to do it. Is it your intuition or is it your head? Are you afraid that if you don't do it, people aren't going to be impressed? Because then you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So then you think, if I don't do it, people will judge me and think I'm not as good as I am, so I better do it, because then you're risking it. Or is it saying, don't do it because you can't, you know? And then if it's you don't do it because it's dangerous, then you should listen to that. But it's not dangerous. It's like, because, you know, fear isn't real. Danger is real. Right. As Will Smith said in a movie recently. I'm sure that quote was taken from somewhere else. But it's really getting in touch with what is telling me not to do this. Is it my brain, or is it, you know? We move, there's another good quote I heard recently, do we move with fear and we move with desire? Every decision we make is out of fear or desire. Is this going to better my life, or is this going to risk worse in my life? And it's that one. And I did that out of desire. You know, I wanted to experience that. I knew I could, and I got on with it. I didn't, you know, I could have let the fear overcome me, but I knew that, like, now it's really clear. Any part of me saying don't do it was all in my head. It wasn't in my heart. My heart knew I could do it. And it's having faith in that, and then it's also the faith that there are no coincidences, there's no accidents. If something happens, that happens for a reason, and that, you know, layered together, it makes you into a pretty powerful human, I feel like.
Would you have done that same move 3 years ago?
Possibly not.
Okay.
I've been training a lot lately. I think I've done a lot of that.
So mental and physical.
Yeah.
And you're seeking out these risks more than you would, say, a few years ago.
Oh, they're seeking out me. Okay. You know, life's challenging me. It wants me to. Yeah, and also I've done a lot more. I've not trained as much lately with my team or with other advanced free runners, so I've not had the influence, and it's been so freeing for me. When I first started free running, I just did what excited me. I explored my own style. There was no person that I was trying to like keep up with or anything, you know, it was just me. And then I got into a team, and then started doing professional work, and then you start to feel like I should always train with my team, and I should always try and do these certain things a certain way. Lately I've let go of that, and it's just let me become my own again and be in charge. So if I was doing that and there was another free runner with me and he did it first, I might not have done it.
Right.
Because it would have put a different swing on the whole thing. But because there was so clear and there was no outside information coming in, it was like, yes, I can do that, you know.
Right. And that move hadn't necessarily been done by anyone before.
I'd never seen it before.
Right. So you just saw it, and that was something you can do. Kind of like a mountain that had never been climbed, and you're like, I want to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And if there were people watching, would it have been different? If there was a filming as opposed to a still shoot, would it have been different?
If it was a paid shoot, yeah, I would probably.
Right.
I mean, they would have had to rig me up probably, but
right. And it would have
that
been a
was the
different
beauty
vibe.
Because me and him hadn't seen each other in maybe 2 years, and he's my age. He was a professional free runner. We were in the same team years ago. Now he's a creative art director for AKQA, one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world. He does work for Chanel, Hermes, Dior, Nike, Red Bull. So he's a really creative guy, and I'd not seen him in maybe 2 years. And as I said, we just, you know, he took his first day off work in 2 years as well. We could have just sat and had coffee or food or whatever and talked, but we wanted to get creative together. He's one of those spirited people where it's like, and you get to talk about all the other things along the way, but when we combine, it's always been powerful in the past, and I've missed that. And he's just one of those special humans that me and him can just make magic when we're together, and that was, I just trusted him. Him behind the camera was going to get the thing, and I got on with my part of the job. And that's a good unit, you know.
Got some great pictures on the site. What's the website, by the way?
Spiritoftim.com. I've just wrote a blog post.
Okay.
And it's got all the pictures of there. Spiritoftim.com.
It's a great site. There's a site of you jumping off something in China. It's like jumping off
Hong Kong,
or something. And there's some other pretty daring pictures. Hong Kong's of the skyscrapers in Hong Kong?
Yeah, there's a few good photos from Hong Kong, and I've got a naked photo shoot about to come out in the next 2 weeks.
Is it a new one?
And I did it probably almost a year ago.
Okay.
But we thought they were so good, our opinion, but that we've held out on them to get a proper release and do some kind of decent launch. And we've got Jamie Oliver supporting them, and he's done a video, and we're going to donate some of the proceeds to his charity, and we're going to sell them on beautifulcrimes.com. But those photos are really artistic, and it was me and Jason Paul, and they're on the rooftops in London, and I'm like naked looking down on, not looking down on people, but above people, and they're just so oblivious to me being up there. It's quite artistic and kind of I think they're good.
Okay, I can't wait to see them. Talk to me about your professional career and where art meets commerce, and how do you juggle those things? You talked about if that was a paid shoot, it would have been a different vibe, but you do a lot of paid work.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know every artist is conflicted. How do you solve this conflict? And I got questions from our audience, and they're like, how can a free runner do this? And how can a free runner ethically do this?
It's tough.
I know it's something you get asked a lot, but you've lived it. So.
Well, especially me, as I'm trying to be more and more integral, and
You've always been
I've been involved with Red Bull a lot in the past, and last year I judged their competition in Santorini, and I get paid to just sit and watch the best freerunners in the world on a beautiful island. You know, that's the dream job. And this year they offered me the same, and I rejected it. So I'm having to start to make those decisions. But then obviously you're putting your career in jeopardy. But
did you reject it because of the Red Bull product?
Because it was Red Bull, yeah.
Just the product, not the brand.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where I see none of the athletes really drinking Red Bull, and we always think, who's actually buying them? Because this event, they're not selling any. Like, it's not really promoting Red Bull that much. But then I'll be in the street, and freerun kids will be drinking Red Bulls, like 14-year-old kids. It gets to them. You see it really penetrates them, and we just need to be more mindful, and I just don't want to be involved with that.
Fair enough. That's a bold statement. I remember when we were talking about sponsors like a year and a half ago, someone brought up an energy drink, and I was just like, how can I really push an energy drink? Even though in the back of my days I used to drink them here, but you couldn't really push an energy drink on a London Real audience, because they'd be like, well, really?
It's tough, man.
But the kids will drink it, but none of the athletes drink Red Bull in any sport, because it just
they've got Vita
sense.
Coco in their bottles, half of them,
Right.
Coconut water, they know now.
So you made a conscious decision to do that, even though Red Bull supports parkour in a big way.
And they do great events. They do great videos. I absolutely love the products and the events they put on, although I don't agree with competition so much as its style and it's subjective, but the events are wonderful, and I'm definitely going to tune in. I'm thinking of even going out to Santorini just to hang out, but I just can't promote Red Bull anymore. I've got to make that stand and show people that you can, make these decisions. Freerunning doesn't need to follow the roots of skateboarding and BMXing. It's such a different thing. It's so much deeper, I think, and it needs to represent that.
Was that a tough decision to make? No.
No.
Okay.
It was made for me, man. People was
like, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And so talking about the rest of the professional stuff, I mean, do you still do, I mean, you're doing the Flow show. Yeah. Do you still do professional gigs for, they need you to do stunts? I saw some of your show reel, you're doing stunts and things like that.
I've done quite a bit, music videos. What have I done lately? I did Guinness World Records. I mean, that's cheesy, but I'm not selling out, It's like...
Is that like TV show?
TV show in Italy, and I went back there twice in a row and got the record on that.
How would that be? I mean, this is paid work. This video, why is that selling out?
That's not. Right, that's not selling out, but it's just cheesy. So there's like jobs that come up like that. I was on a program in England called Virtually Famous the other day. Okay. And that was fun. It's really shitty comedy, like Channel 4 panel show. Okay. But I mean, I made it fun. I went and when I watch it, it's funny because I watch it and I'm like, okay, I was in a good vibe when that was filmed because I see myself and how I was on camera. And you very into it. You can pick up on yourself more because sometimes you'll see yourself and be like, oh, you weren't in a good place that day, right. And so it's trying to be daily in that place, and yoga and things help for that. That's what. The tools, whatever people use.
Okay, so you're doing that in the Flow show, and you're doing that kind of... Yeah. And professional going forward for you, what does it look like? You ever going to be in movies?
Only if I'm acting. I did a casting recently, but when the time's right. I'm moving more on the vegan side of things. I want to become... That's become a real passion for me, and I want to build a vegan, like, online presence and cooking kind of team, just to show people... We're kind of... another name in progress, but the vegan hoodies.
The vegan hoodies.
Yeah, and it's me and my friend, because we're both young, like London, I'm not from London, but London boys, basically, and it's like, those two words, can't imagine them together, a hoodie and a vegan, and they're both two words that have got quite negative connotations in society. Right. So we want to flip that and make it both, and make it good, and just be fun on camera, charismatic, and present. I mean, we did bacon pancakes the other day, but vegan version, and it was unbelievable. I've never really tried my friends cooking like this kind of fattier food, vegan food, but it was healthy. We used, zucchini as the bacon, and he made an amazing marinade, and it tasted like bacon, and the pancake was sweet potato pancakes, and we used maple syrup, and it was unbelievable. And it's like, we can have this food. And the way that idea came about, Bacon Pancakes, is a TV show, a cartoon called Adventure Time, which is a really fun, playful show, and there's a quirky song in it where he's singing about bacon pancakes. And it's weird because now when you become vegan and you become like, you start to see food for what it is. This is a kids' TV show to kids, and they're making bacon pancakes fun, and it works. It's so catchy. But what goes on behind bacon? Be mindful about the process of bacon, and that's a pig whose life, is delivered to us by Mother Nature, by God, by the earth. But then its life, it was raised and it's killed just for someone to have bacon on pancakes, when they could have just had the pancakes, or they could have had cornflakes, or they could have had watermelon. Yet that pig's existence was so that someone could just choose one breakfast instead of another. And it's kind of deep to see that, the depth behind the TV show, and they don't realise what they're doing, and it's not their role at this stage, so it's our role to go bacon pancakes. Let's make it a bit more mindfully. Let's make it vegan
and talk about it.
And talk about it.
What's been your evolution of veganism? When did you start? Was it something you had heard about in your teens, and then like
ish, yeah.
And in the last 6 months, 12 months, where has it kind of gone? Because you're known. You've been talking about it with me for the last year.
I did a video for PETA recently.
Oh yeah, with them. You did, okay. It was because PETA India has been tweeting you out and things like that.
They've been doing, the American one actually tweeted me yesterday as well. But it's just it's given me a purpose.
When did it click for you? Can you remember the moment when you were just like, I'm thinking about this, and then the moment when you did it?
Every day.
I know, but like a year ago or 18 months ago, when was the time where you were like, I got to do this?
There's a Gary Yourofsky video I watched. Gary Yourofsky, and I probably talked about it in the last one, so I don't want to go over the same thing. Yeah,
I posted those on your website.
That was the one. Yeah, it's on Spirit of Tim, but he really just made me see it for what it is. I've always thought I was mindful and compassionate, and you've got to take it to that next step. A lot of people talk spirituality. A lot of people talk it, And for me, spirituality isn't anything to do with talking. It's nothing. It's all about actions.
Right.
What are your actions?
Right.
Are they mindful? Are you making decisions day to day, being considerate of other people?
Right.
Do you hold the door open? I'm sure anyone that claims spirituality will hold the door open if someone's coming, right? So that's an action of your mindful behavior, because someone's coming, you want to make it convenient for them. You don't want to seem rude. Not that's why you should do it, because you don't want to seem rude. It's because it helps them out. But are you willing to let go of the convenience of your food briefly? Because vegan food's easy once you get into it after a month, basically. But are you willing to give up a bit of convenience for actually being mindful and making a decision based on spiritual beliefs?
Right. I think the real spirituality comes from the decisions you make when no one's looking.
Yeah.
So
when you're at home and you could eat watermelon or you could eat a
Right.
dead pig, are you choosing one because one tastes good but it's the death of an animal, or one because, and in turn, it makes you healthier.
Right. So you saw this video, you were like, I, as a part of your growth, you're like, I'm cutting it out. I'm not doing this. And then you started talking about it. And then, what was the evolution of you kind of?
Yeah, it got to a point where I just saw the vegan community and I was like, wow, like all this time, like these people that have been aware of it for years, and there's been no support for them. They get ridiculed. I was probably one of them that ridiculed it at some point. I remember saying to vegetarians, for every animal you don't eat, I eat 3. Will you eat one? Little ignorant comments like that.
You said that, and that's when you were younger.
When I was younger,
and when you were training, when you were younger, you probably thought I need the protein and that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, all that.
Why do vegans? Why are they ostracized so much?
Because we're self-righteous. Because we're self-righteous.
Okay.
We are.
But any movement is self-righteous.
Yeah,
right.
But it's tough because vegans generally 99% are less impact on the planet. If the planet could choose to get rid of like certain people, it wouldn't be vegan. I know that's, again, you're allowing my self-righteousness to come out.
Right.
But you know what I mean? We do less impact. There's so many dumb arguments we hear, and I've never found one that, other than survival, there's no valid argument for a Westerner in the world we live with an abundance of fruit and vegetables on every street corner to ever pay someone to kill an animal on our behalf that we wouldn't want to kill in the first place when we don't need to. Whatever, there's vegans with every single blood type that are living healthily. People have the blood type argument. People say, oh, but aren't plants living as well? Alan Watts put it really well, saying, cows scream louder than carrots. That's why he's vegetarian, because you can only really gauge things on the human level. If I see a cow and I look it in the eyes, slitting its throat is a horrible thing to me, or cutting a mango off a tree there's nothing inside me that feels bad about that at this stage.
So it might be dying, but you're making a relative judgment.
You're making a relative judgment, and on top of that, the amount of, because people say, oh, don't you care about plants, they're living too. How many plants have been fed to the animal to make that live so that you can have a piece of meat?
That's a good point.
If you just have the plants, then you save so many plants that are grown, the crops that are grown for that. And then it's the water. The Ice Bucket Challenge that went out recently?
Yes.
Yeah, so people want to be self-righteous about something.
Matt Damon took his water out of the toilet.
That's great. Right. Okay, that's good. So people are saying, but there's droughts and that, and you're wasting. It's 4 liters of fucking water.
You got some hate for your Ice Bucket Challenge.
It's not even the hate. It's the hate I saw in other people. Okay. People being, if you care about water, don't eat a burger, because that's like 2 months worth of showers in one burger that you're saving from one. It's like there's a documentary come out.
The carbon footprint as well.
The carbon footprint. But there's a documentary called Cowspiracy that came out, and it's all to do with these kind of facts. And there's a website in America where it gives you all these ideas you can do to save water. If you care about the environment, you don't flush. There's a good phrase New Yorker told me the other day: if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. So now when I piss, I don't flush the toilet, only after number 2, right? So there's little things like that, how you can save water at home, and it saved like 60 gallons or 60 litres, 60 gallons in a day if you do these things. Now, if you don't eat one burger, that saves 600. And yet it didn't mention this on the website at all about just going vegetarian. If you really care about the planet, environmentally, don't eat meat, because of how much water it takes to grow the crops and to grow the animal for its whole life, however many years it lives for, and then kill it, and then transportation and everything.
So when you see the ice bucket water hate, you think you really should be thinking about...
I'm thinking if you actually care, go a bit deeper. But it's great because people are at least starting to think they care. They're starting to think they care. But people just want to be self-righteous about something, and they want to be opposed. People are so hipster these days that Ice Bucket Challenge celebrities are doing that. That must be lame. People want to hate on. They don't judge it from their own eye. I see stuff celebrities do, and some stuff is cool and some stuff is lame. Whoever they are, whatever, it could be Rihanna, Cara Delevingne, or whatever, anyone, and I won't judge it on who they are. I'll judge it on the action. But people go, oh, they're doing it. It must be lame. Oh, they must be. Oh, yeah. they're wasting water. Let's all jump on that bandwagon. And it's like, come on now.
Okay, and the flip side of that is quote unquote slacktivism, where people are like, they'll dump their bucket on with water over their head,
not
or they won't actually maybe go learn about ALS or go give time in your community to help someone, or really do something somewhat community based or spiritual. It's just like, or hit a like button.
Slacktivism is the word, isn't it?
I like that one. Or hit a like button if you support this.
Yeah, that gets to me. People that think this spiritual, but just on Instagram they can repost pictures, and it's like, okay, and then but they're coming around, because as soon as people are starting to become conscious of consciousness itself, or conscious of spirituality, it's only a matter of time. Like, they have the knowledge, they're learning the knowledge, and then the wisdom is in the application. So
it is a step in the right direction.
It's a great.
People are at least asking the question, about themselves. Let me finish up with veganism, because it's a big part of who you are. I mean, you said you're becoming like the spokesman. You're in. This is the role for you.
Is
it?
Well, it doesn't. It will happen either way. That's ego talking. I could just disappear, and veganism will still become relevant in the next 20, 30 years. For me, it's not an opinion. This is the problem. People think it's an opinion. They say, don't push your opinion on me.
Right, or a choice, but in your opinion, it's not.
It's not an opinion. Right. It's not, because it's an observation. It's like if I showed you a rose that was red and said, what color is it? You say it's red, right? Veganism, I've tried it. I know hundreds of thousands of people that have tried it as well, and they feel better, and animals aren't dying. That's not an opinion that it's better for the planet. It's a fact that it's better for the planet. If we actually care about doing something for climate change, or we don't want animals to die. Everyone's against animal cruelty. You can knock on every door here, say, are you against animal cruelty?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to say yes.
They'll say yes. So they'll hit the like button.
They'll hit the like button. So then, are you aware that you don't need to eat meat to live healthily? Yeah, I'm aware. So why do you do it? Because of convenience, addiction, habit. Habit. So it's not their fault that they're just ignorant or just don't care enough yet, but eventually people will start to care more and more. But as I say, it's not an opinion that it's better for you as a person. Yes, you can thrive on meat and on a vegan diet, you can do both, but it's not just about us now. I heard a really good quote the other day. So the difference between someone that finds veganism easy and someone that finds veganism hard is, the person that finds it easy is thinking about the victim. The person that finds it hard is thinking about themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, that's it. When you think about the victim and you're staring at your plate and it's got, I love every plate I eat these days, but all the cooked rice, fruits and vegetables on it, that's great. You're helping animals out, and they deserve to live here. I don't know, we could go.
So this is going to be your mission. You're going to be putting out videos. You're going to be cooking. I've already seen you cook meals with Jamie Oliver. You cook some vegan meals.
Yeah, he's really supportive of it. He put a vegan menu in Jamie's Italian restaurants since he
because of you.
Yeah, and the other day he messaged me. He put 12 new vegan recipes on his website, jamieoliver.com, and it got 800,000 views in a week. And so he's really seeing, this is, he's seeing the flow of it. And the other day he put Ellie Goulding on his TV show, and I went down to the filming of it, and she was cooking vegan burgers. So that's on his TV show, and it's great that people are making a stand for it. And do you know what I find interesting is that they say every truth goes through 3 stages. First it's ridiculed, then it's violently opposed, then it's accepted as obvious, And for me, veganism is still ridiculed. Right. So the violent opposition is yet to come.
Okay, so you're getting ready.
I'm ready in the crew.
You're building the trenches.
I'm ready in the crew, yeah. so countries will declare themselves. There's Burma or Bhutan, I can't remember the country, is declared itself organic. So in the next 10 years, it's going to be completely organic. You're going to get countries declare themselves vegetarian. It may take 10, 15 years, but a country will go, no animals need to be killed on our land because we've got an abundance of fruit and vegetables and everything we need from all over the world. We've got import, export, we're comfortable. No animals need to be killed on our land. There's no need for it anymore. Like maybe Germany or someone like that will go first. And then you're going to get violent opposition from people. Then people are going to go, yeah, of course, it's obvious, we don't need to. And the other side of it is, what? You can't tell us what to do. And people shouldn't be told not to do it. It should just be an understanding.
Right. Do you equate this like in 200 years will we look back at
slavery
veganism like racism or slavery?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
That kind of because it sounds like that.
But racism, slavery, they all still exist in some parts, right? And women's rights and all that stuff. There's all still elements of that in our society. But I think when veganism kicks in, I wish there was another word, because it's when I speak about it, I still feel like people can't connect with it because there's a blockage because of the past of when love kicks in. That's all I want to say. When love kicks in, everything else will disintegrate, racism and all that, because you're making a decision that is a little more inconvenient at this time. It is a little against your usual habits, but it's for the greater good. And when you can start to make a decision like that on food choice 3 times a day, then it leaks over into other aspects of your life, and you're not going to be, racist for much longer. But if you are racist, you don't care about not being. I digress. But it leaks over into the areas of your life. It's a compassionate decision on a day-to-day basis.
And a lot of it's habitual. I mean, you look at sexism or racism over this. I mean, you told people 100 years ago.
They stem from speciesism.
Which is what?
So speciesism is when you treat species different. We're taught to love cats, love dogs.
Yeah.
If someone's killing dolphins, that's really bad.
Yeah, that's strange.
That's horrible. How can let's post on our Facebook that they're killing dolphins in Denmark, and of course that's right. And I go, are you vegetarian? They go, no. What? No, but we need to eat meat. Oh, but they're raised for that. They wouldn't be alive otherwise. All these ignorant comments. But at least they're starting to get. Okay, we care about the dolphins. How about you care about the cows in your own backyard? They don't deserve what they get. They don't, because you can just eat something else. So at least people are starting to be aware of animal cruelty is wrong. Right. But what level is it? Is it just the animals that we're taught to love, or is it all the animals? Do you love them because of how they serve you? Do you love the dog because it's cute? Or do you love it because dogs, because it's happy? I don't know.
Yeah.
You should just love it for it. If you really love something, you should love it for how it is, not how it serves you. So,
What's the gateway drug for veganism? Because
sweet potatoes or dates or something.
But I mean, is there a way, can people do the 2-day-a-week challenge or something? Because it seems there's such a divide. Like, you either go vegan or you're not. It's like a digital decision.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because if someone then fails veganism, they don't want to call themselves vegan, and then they go straight back into vegan till 6. There's a book about that. I've not read it, but it's called Vegan Till 6. And it's basically saying you just eat vegan for breakfast and for lunch. Okay. And then after dinner, you can have your cooked meal. That's a really good gateway.
That's good.
Because I do something called Raw Till 4 or Raw Till Training. So I eat raw. I'm like the more extreme vegan where I eat raw until 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whenever I finish training.
Okay.
And then I eat cooked food.
Which has a bit more protein in it, perhaps? Or that's just your discipline? Okay.
Yeah, proteins are...
Raw till 4, okay.
Raw till 4, it just rhymes with 4. I don't know, clean till 16 or something, I don't know. Anyway, I call it raw till training at the moment. So once I've finished training in the evening or whatever, then I can eat cooked food. And that for me is a gateway into raw veganism. So the same way gateway into veganism is to eat vegan till 6.
Okay. All right, so we should expect more coming from this standpoint.
Yeah, from the world.
And for you, it's just about information. It's about you being outspoken, producing the videos, letting people see how to eat this stuff, talking to people like Jamie Oliver, getting him to adopt those things.
It's a responsibility. That's the change in me, was the decision to commit to this, because it's not about me anymore. My life isn't about me. It's about what I can offer and give back. How can I use my skills to give back? My skills aren't who I am. That's just a talent. That's a gift I was given. I didn't choose that. That's just something that naturally excited me. That was the soul that came into this world, is excited by parkour. So it was drawn to that. So it trained that. So it had fun doing that. And I love that. Okay, so that's not who I am. That's the skills I've got. What can I do with those? Promote a good message, a neutral message, or take money to buy women and cars and promote whatever message pays me. Do you know what I mean? So I'm making the choice and the stand for righteousness, for what I believe is good and is going to benefit us all, and what needs to be said at this point in time. There's a big climate conference coming up with the UN, and
you're the most outspoken guy in England for this, in London for this, right?
I think so.
I think so too.
Maybe.
How do you feel about hunting? And do you think that might be a gateway to veganism?
Maybe. I sure think people should kill their own meat if they're going to eat it.
People have said that hunting is actually a spiritual experience, and they respect the animal afterwards. And you have to cut it open and you see what you're actually doing, as opposed to so many, especially pigs. I mean, there's such a disconnect with what you see, especially off farm raised or industrial raised. So you're not against that as a transition? As a transition,
okay. All right. I still think there's a disconnect. I think if you live in any Western world, you don't need to kill an animal. There's still a certain part of you that's not quite in touch. But maybe I'm wrong.
That could be the way.
Maybe I'm wrong with that. But I think if people were killing their own animals before, if once a year someone had to get their animal eating license and they had to kill them, I think 90% of Brits would go vegetarian overnight.
Okay, but you're friends with vegans. You mentioned Jamie Oliver, who's actually done a lot for animal rights, even though though he's not vegan per se, he doesn't serve only vegan things. Yeah. So you're friends with non-vegans.
Yeah, very good friends with non-vegans, because it's not everyone's journey. It's not everyone's journey. If you're dedicating your life to a message that you believe is for the greater good, and you're not vegan, then I really don't think that's, at least you're serving some purpose, and that's not your role to go vegan if it takes too much of your energy and drains you to do that. I'm not telling like the single mom with 3 kids that's struggling to get by, that goes to KFC every day to change their diet, because it's not her role. It's for the more mindful. If you're spirited and you're caring and you're comfortable and you're happy and content, then it's a decision for you to make to start going in this direction. If you've got other problems in your life, then maybe don't worry about it. I'll help change the world and all the restaurants and all the shops so that they'll be more vegan friendly or entirely vegan. That's for me to change the bigger picture. But for us people, and if you're watching this podcast, you're definitely a more mindful person, you're thoughtful, and it's drawn you to this kind of place. It's on us. It's on us to make these decisions for the better. We're voting with our pound. We have to do that.
All right, amen to that. I might try this before 6 stuff. You mentioned spirituality and stuff, and I remember from my ayahuasca ceremony, we had a diet before, and it was like 2-week diet, and you had to cut out a lot of things, including meat and caffeine and all this stuff. And after I drank, and gluten, and I found that I've been gluten free, and I don't want to eat a lot of the things I used to eat, which were animals actually. And maybe that's a sign there. I don't know. What about your journey with spirituality and psychedelics and things like that? Is that something you're going towards or not? You've mentioned it in the past.
I'm so open to it, but it's never hit me in the face. I've never been like, oh, it's there, and I've never needed it. Parkour for me, exercise, it's always been so mind-opening, and I travel the world so much anyway. Like this year I was in Egypt, I climbed the pyramid at night. This is a random story, but I've been all over Hong Kong, I travel around Asia for a bit. I've been South America and Europe and stuff, and that opens my mind so much. You see how everyone's different, but how everyone's the same at the same time, and you just treat people differently from that, and that's whatever you believe is going to help you, then it helps you. So for some people they need that, and I'd love to do it at some point. Ayahuasca, certainly I see it come up so much more and more frequently, but it just hasn't come around yet. But I still feel like I'm spiritually evolving every day.
You'll find it when it's necessary. People literally will seek it out. In a subconscious way. And then it's there when you need it. And it's not.
But I have been. This is a random one. But on spirituality, I listen to a lot more channeled messages, and this is where people start to think I sound crazy.
All right, channeled message.
Channeled message. So there's a few. There's Abraham Hicks, there's a woman called Esther, and she channels this person from another dimension or whatever called Abraham, and there's one called Bashar, who's channeled through a guy called Daryl. And they're really interesting because they do conferences and that where people will ask them questions to Bashar or Abraham, and they'll answer so quickly and so fluidly that for me it seems clear that it's not the person answering.
Right.
Because you see when they're in the zone and when they're channeling and when they're not, and they're a bit more bumbly and they're not as clear with the way they talk, and when they're channeling, they're streaming, and you could think it's an act, but for me what's important is not whether it's really channeled or not, it's the answers they give, and they're so on point for me when I listen to it. They're observations and not opinions. They're things that I've seen and feel, but they're delivered in such a clear way, and so I've really enjoyed channel messages. They just bring me like this sense of hope, and like, because you see people talk, and I'm not that good at it, but you see Russell Brand, and he is, for me, is like he channels, but without actually going into a state of channeling. Like he talks, he streams answers there's no thought in his head. You feel like someone will talk to him or ask him a question, and it will just come through the most eloquent, on point, specific answer that you couldn't write any better, and that's channeling for me. And he does it as Russell Brand. He meditates twice a day, does yoga every day, and he's got himself to a state of his body so in alignment that he can just not have to think about trying to get the right answer. He just allows it to come through him, and so that's what, when I see these channels, I go, oh, that's like a slightly more advanced, but we're trying to get to that level of truth.
So you're appreciating kind of what they're doing, not necessarily who they're talking to.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And but the messages are always really on point.
And that's what you feel about Russell. You've been a big fan of Russell for a long time. You put that compilation video together of him, which has like 2 million views.
2 million now.
Jesus, is that the best compilation video of Russell Brand out there?
I think so.
And you just decided to do it.
Blew up and all, because I would search his interviews every week, because he was really like streaming. Like
so that's what you feel he's doing. Is that what fascinates you with Russell? Because you feel like he does kind of channel this stream. Yeah, I never heard it put that way, because I guess when he gets in the zone, he definitely gets into that.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. And his output is always towards love, as he says. It's always against violence and towards love. That's what we're trying to bring about, a more loving, peaceful place. And I just watch him, and I just think, I saw that, and I thought, no one's done it yet. He's saying all these deep things in these interviews that no one's watching, or they're watching for different parts of the interview, like the MSNBC one.
Yeah.
They watch it and they laugh along. But
Yeah.
when you listen to the underlying stuff, the stuff that gets neglected of what he's saying, it was so deep, and it got me. And I thought, I'm going to do this. And it was a project I worked on myself. And he's acknowledged it many times and spread it, and it's hit 2 million views now. And the timing was perfect, because there's been no real interviews since then like that. So that was like a period in time when he was doing a lot of interviews, speaking that way a lot.
Yeah.
Compilation came out, then he started doing the truths.
Which means he
got his YouTube presence.
Yeah, 6 months ago, 9 months ago?
Yeah, 6
right.
months
and he
maybe.
stopped doing the kind of those big public interviews
Started
that
doing
blew
his,
up.
yeah, exactly.
And he started doing the truth. So he hasn't done...
So the way I see it was like a perfect little buffer. Boom, people get him, he spiritually knows what he's on about. Here's the truths, guys, daily, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday.
Right.
Watches a news thing and gives his opinion on it. I say his opinion, but he tries to give a neutral outlook of what's going on. And he did a recent one on Obama, giving a speech about saying they're not going to war in Syria or whatever, but they're doing some counter-terrorism. And he's like, what's that's war. Like,
right.
What's counter-terrorism, you know? And it's he just seems like really pure and gentle in his answers on that.
He's been massively successful with truths, and it's a genuine thing. I mean, he obviously literally is in his place. In short, it's not far from here, and he sees the news, and it's 5 days a week, so it can't be planned or scripted, and he just goes, right? I mean, it's what he's good at. He's a stand-up comedian. I mean, comedians, you know, they like look into the matrix and they see. People think comedians are funny, but what comedians do is they see what you can't see, right? That's why we're like, oh wow, because they see something that you're in the matrix.
That's it, right?
You're like,
they have that ability to then also freestyle and make quick comments and things. It all works in tandem.
and entertain as well, which is important to keep you plugged in.
Yeah, so when I tell people the truth, make them laugh. That's where I fall short slightly, because I just get like...
You go right into the
Che
truth.
Guevara,
Yeah. So you watch the truths. You're a big fan, right?
Huge fan, yeah.
Okay, and you guys have chatted, and he knows you're there, and he appreciated your video.
Yeah,
You haven't met him or anything?
No, not met.
Would you guys collaborate or anything? Is he a vegan too? I wouldn't.
He's vegetarian,
vegetarian,
but I've seen like once a week someone will ask him a question on veganism in the truths, and he'll say, yeah, it's the right thing to do. We all should do it. You know, I'm struggling, but I think he's mostly vegan. He's not. He's been vegetarian for like 20 years. Like he fully is. Like he gets that. But I think he said if someone offers him a biscuit, you know, he'll just eat it or something like that. It's not like I'm sure he doesn't go around buying cheese and butter for his house and milk. You know,
I'm wondering, like, because with the truths, he's allowed to speak every day to this like big YouTube audience. Yeah. I'm wondering if he wants to go back to stand up after you have that kind of connection, like with an audience where you're talking like every day.
The passion will flow back. I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I think he's worked on a movie. Oh, really? Actually. Yeah, which I'd be really excited to see.
Like a documentary style?
Yeah, documentary. It's probably similar to kind of what Bruce Perry was on about consciousness.
Okay.
I think he's doing one about that. Or it might be more about the media and how bullshit they are. But I think I saw on iTunes you can pre-order it, and it must be out maybe this month, so I'm going to have a look at it after.
What about you with like short films or films or anything like that? Is that something you ever think about doing? Because that can be a powerful way of getting the message across.
It is, when the time's right.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, if I meet with the right people, the right project, I'll be willing to do it. But for now, I won't. I think it would take too much of my energy and force something that's not quite right for me to direct, kind of thing. I'd love to be a part of a production or a crew that's doing it and I can get involved. But if I'm like trying to lead that charge, that's not my role.
Right. Yeah. I see a lot of kids showing up in your videos, and I was just wondering.
Yeah,
it's funny because you know, as you get older, I find that you tend to notice kids a bit more, and I notice I see them in my community, and like I actually mentored this kid for like a year, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was this weird instinct I had, and I did it, and it was like every week I spent 4 hours with this kid, and it was super rewarding, super challenging. It was really hard because it was like it was 1 year you signed up, and it was every week, and 4 to 6 hours a week, and you can't cancel on a kid. Then he was 10, and he was like, and they're usually problem kids, you know, to get in the program. So, but I did this thing, and I noticed, so I noticed you noticing children, and it's just something I wanted to ask you about.
Yes.
Do you notice yourself noticing them?
So I realized I'm quite a big reflector of people. If someone's like a bit off, I'll just reflect that and be like off. If someone's really open and happy, I'll just straight away, we could be like best friends. I just reflect them back quite. So if you're around quite negative people, you will just start to feel that, because you will start to get that vibe off them. Kids are the happiest, most easygoing, pure-spirited, lovely things on the planet, you know. So I just started hanging around with kids because they make me happy.
Yeah.
You know, they don't judge anyone. They're happy like 95% of the time, and when they are sad, you can see through it why they shouldn't be sad. Not that you just have to let them come around, but you know, most of the time they're happy and fun, and they see the world with wonder, and it makes you feel that sometimes when you're around them, and you start to appreciate things with them, and at that level. So I was like, whoa, stop hanging around with adults. You know, a lot of them are depressive and got addictions and problems. Kids are, you know, they're born with love. When I'm stood high up or hanging from a wall, I was in a park in New York, and there was calisthenic guys going, and I climbed a tree and was hanging upside down, and they were like, oh, I don't want to be around when he falls and the ambulance has to come, and you know, they're saying all these negative things.
Right.
Now, if you saw a 4-year-old in that park, what does a 4-year-old say? Oh my God, that's something. They'd love it.
Right.
They'd be so impressed, and they'd want to try it themselves. Kids are born with that faith and wonder and admiration, and you know, all this fear and negativity and assumption of accidents is learned into us. So I try and hang out with kids where they've got that attitude that I want to have and hone into more.
Yeah, it's fun to hang out with kids, man. They really bring you right back to like what's important. I remember I was reading some.
Exactly, they do.
Right, and
they're
like,
so honest in a great way. You know?
Yeah, and they call, like, that's a great thing. I've got a 10-year-old. She's my stepdaughter, and she's fantastic, and she's been a big part of my life the last few years. And so I remember, like, I picked her up one time. We were driving somewhere, and she just said something like, "Do you know how to drive?" And she just says things that no one else would like say to me, you know. And you know, just the kind of observations they make. And I remember I was reading a book one time, and they were talking about like when adults go to a party, like say it's a London event and it's a get together, you know, the first thing people need is get a drink from the bar. Yeah. And it's just like, ever look at a kid's birthday party, like a 10-year-old, like they are bouncing off the walls, you know, they just have fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, as adults, we've trained ourselves, I don't know, I guess we're just a bit more subconscious and self-conscious.
We're just programmed, aren't we? We're programmed, you realize that. And then you hang out with a kid and it deprograms you a bit, because you're suddenly more present and quick to move on. It's interesting because I was climbing yesterday, rock climbing, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool if some kids were around. I'd love to take kids would love this. But then I think they'd be bored in 5 minutes, you know. So they've got that desire and wonder, quick, but then they're quick to move on. So as an adult, what you want is that same wonder and desire, but then you can be more pragmatic about it and apply yourself a bit more. Okay, no, I do enjoy this. I'm going to spend a few hours working on it.
Right, a little commitment.
Yeah, a little more commitment that we have and patience. So it's finding that balance, you know.
Yeah. So kids, community is kind of the way you're going. You were at the Woodstock Fruit Festival.
Absolutely.
And that seemed like a real community vibe.
Beautiful. One of the best weeks of my life.
Yeah. What was that? What was it going on there?
So Woodstock Fruit Festival, I went to it last year, and this is the 4th year it's been on, but it's my 2nd year. And it's in New York State, in Woodstock, by Lake Trout, which is by a bigger lake, Lake George, which some people might know. And it's on a kids' summer camp, but the kids have all gone home. It's like the last 2 weeks after they've finished, and they book it out as adults, and you pay one price, and it's unlimited fruit and vegetables, 24 hours a day, as much as you want, can eat. And it's by a lake. There's a trampoline on the lake with loads of inflatable slides and stuff on the water. There's bikes you can ride. There's high ropes course. It's all in-house. Once you're there, you can do anything you want. There's lectures, talks from people like Tony Wright, who's incredible. You should get him on your show, Tony Wright. He's got a book called Left in the Dark, which is about the left brain, right brain argument, and how, you know, I won't go into that too much, but how fruit is our real relationship symbiotic that makes us more intelligent the more fruit we eat as well. But anyway, it was just the most beautiful week, and it was so fit. I've got into running recently, and the lake there is 6.2 miles round, and I ran that twice, and I've never ran 6 miles in my life, I don't think.
Really?
So I did that on 2 separate days, and I cycled around it, and it was the best, like, healthy week of my life. There's no alcohol, no drugs. There's campfires at night with didgeridoo and bong. It sounds super hippie.
Yeah, super.
I know, and I'm coming back wearing a bandana. but it really is just the most lovely, kind-hearted people that are just living from the heart, that want to help each other, and you know, and it's just such a absolute pleasure to be around people like that with no problems, no egos. And the interesting thing was, last year it was bigger, but there was kind of a divide in the community, sort of politics and everything, right? But the like Raw Till 4 movement split off from the raw vegan movement, and so it left, like last time was a bit more egos, and that this time it kind of just left the group, the raw vegans. They were pretty much all raw vegan, but I'm not vegan, but we go I acknowledge that that's my optimum, and I like to see that, to strive for it and know what's there. But then my message is more veganism, and it's just to get people to even understand that, because raw veganism seems absolutely fucking bonkers to most people. But when I'm there, it's the most normal thing. Those people are just the most normal, loving people. But to most, I've just got to get people to actually understand veganism in the first place before I can promote that as a message. But it's just nice for me to know what's the next step, and I'll work on this one here. And it was just unbelievable.
And could you live in that community like your whole life, or does part of you after a week you're like, I got to get back to the real world? How hippie can you go?
Yeah, probably not my whole life, because I do enjoy this, but certainly like that week I didn't think about not being there at all. There wasn't a moment when I didn't want to be where I was, and which is kind of sick. And
is that an American vibe? Do you think you could get that here as well?
They have one here. I didn't go this year because I just thought it won't match up to that.
Okay.
You know, because America, they just do things like they've got the lake with the inflatables, and they've got high ropes. It's like, it's all inbuilt. If you do it here, it's going to be kind of like a second-rate version. And they're actually doing one in Hawaii in April, which I'm going to go to, which is kind of the even next step, because they've got all year. There's no seasons there, so you've got fruit all year round.
Okay.
Speaking of fruit.
Wait. Well, all right. Well, hold on. We're going to bring on. What's the next year like for you? Talk to me. You're talking about Hawaii. You're going to keep traveling.
Yeah.
Is that a big thing?
Traveling. I want to just do more the vegan thing. One of the best things Bashar says is one of the channels is follow your excitement, and there is a way for you to make a living following your excitement. But if you don't believe that you could do it, don't just quit your job and be like, right, he said follow my excitement. You have to do whatever your belief system entails you to do. So you can't just quit your job and go, right, I'm going to do what excites me. You have to do what excites you on the side and slowly make that shift. So I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, for me, I'm shifting from parkour living to more veganism. I want to do more work within that and be an advocate spokesperson within that and do recipes and things like that. I make my living that way, and then parkour can be a hobby again, because I really love it. That's the thing I'm here, and that's my biggest passion. I want to just have that as a hobby again and not have that pressure to have to work, because when you go away and you work, film for a week, you come back, you don't want to train it, you don't want to do this. Right. When the last few months I've not been doing as much work, I've been traveling, I just want to train every day. Okay. And I just feel like that when I first fell in love with it, and I was 15 years old again. And so I want, if I can make a living doing the vegan thing, and then...
So ideally you don't do any professional parkour, or...
The jobs I choose, or the ones that promote like PETA or something like that.
Okay. And Flow Channel, finishing up the season this year,
Flow Show.
Maybe more next year. Sorry, Flow Show, yeah.
Flow Show I don't mind doing.
How many hours do you do for the Flow Show every year? It's long, right?
No, Flow was 24 hours last year, but the Flow Show is just 5-minute episodes, and I did 20 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll continue, we'll see.
Well, that's the end of season 2. It's got one more episode left, but I'm sure they'll continue that again.
Okay,
yeah.
And that's something you will still want to be a part of, and that's a community?
I do, but I want to be more like a background and not as much in the face of the community. I'd love to just work on my side projects without the influence of sometimes I just don't want to watch parkour videos, and I just want to train so that you have no influence, and everything I'm doing is just coming from either me or whatever I'm connecting to. You know, you access creativity and let it flow through me. And the more you're watching things, the more when you're out training, you're kind of, you know, in your head thinking, what have I seen? What do I want to try? Rather than just, what do I feel?
And as a community, do they miss you? Do they want you to be certain things? Or are they kind of...
Yeah, they want you to be certain things. And
it's always going to be that way, right?
Yeah, it's always going to be that way. There's always, you know, I don't want that pressure of having to be anything. I don't turn up to big events because I don't like people expecting things of you. It's like, I just want to be background again. It's you know, it's like, in a mini way, celebrities that want to be able to go to the coffee shop without getting photos taken of them.
All right.
It's not...
You want to be able to do parkour without people...
I want to be able to be at a parkour event and just be able to train without people watching the first move, because you can never get warmed up because someone's watching your first jump, and then you can't even get into it because you know there's eyes on you, and it's like, it really kills the whole vibe of it, and you're not part of it. You're like seen a certain way, and people either want you to see you do stuff, or they want you to not be as good as they think you are, or whatever. It's like, it's just it's weird, but I just want that to be I want to be involved when I choose, but I don't want to be the face of it or anything right now.
No, fair enough. What's your daily routine like? Do you have something you specifically do?
Now, my dream routine, I'm finally getting into it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wants to be spontaneous. I don't want to be like planning every day. I want to be able to wake up and see what I feel. But right now I'm trying to do 2 yoga sessions a week,
What kind?
Bikram at the moment, because it makes me the better athlete. That's what I'm enjoying.
Because it stretches you or works those muscles, or
it helps recovery because it really flushes you out because of the heat. It stretches you good. It strengthens your joints and ligaments in your legs. It's a lot. There's no down dog in it, which there is loads of in most of the other ones.
Down dog in it.
Yeah.
Which is what?
It's a yoga pose where you're kind of like that.
And there's none of that.
There's none of that. And for me, I do so much of that in the other yogas, and that kind of takes half the session when I want to be stretching my hamstrings or my hips or something. And Bikram's just more fast-paced, going through 26 postures.
So down dogging is kind of a pause maneuver?
It's a pause move generally, but it actually kills my shoulders because I'm not flexible in my hamstrings, so it hurts.
Okay.
All the weight's on my shoulders. But anyway, so I try and do 2 of them a week. I'm getting into running now, so I'm trying to do 3 5Ks a week.
Interesting. Why do you like running?
I don't, but I want to lean down.
Okay.
I want to be trimmer. I'm doing bouldering twice a week, which I've really fell in love with.
What's that?
Bouldering, rock climbing without the rope, but it's a certain height.
Okay.
So that I fell in love with, like parkour, because there's no pressure on me and I just enjoy it. It's like a puzzle. So you're climbing the wall from the bottom to the top, and you've got certain grips, and there's different difficulties.
Right.
And I'm trying to work my way up the difficulties, and
it's hard, isn't it?
It's beautiful because it's like a puzzle. It's a physical challenge, but you need to use your mind because you try something 10 times, and then the 11th time you turn your body the other way, and you'd be like, oh, that's how to do it, And it's got the same thing of parkour, where it's a mental challenge and a physical one, and it's a bit more relaxing. It's less impact. So I really love that.
But if you fall,
doing that. It's crash mats at the bottom. Okay. It's only a certain height, so it's like maybe 5 moves, but they're all like challenges, and you've got to work out the best way to grip it.
Do you fall?
Yes, yeah, onto the mat. It's not. It's like a story and a half up. It's not that high. So I'm doing that, and then parkour 1 to 3 times a week with the running as well. I'm trying to do that, but I did Ninja Warrior recently.
Yeah, what was that like?
So I started bouldering actually to train for that. It was the special episode. I didn't enter the normal season. It's American Ninja Warrior. It just aired a few days ago. You can find streams online. But they flew 12 athletes out to be Team Europe, and they have, at the end of the season, they do a one-off special where they do the 5 best Americans versus the 5 best Japanese. And this year they wanted a 3rd Team Europe, and they flew 12 people out to kind of audition to be Team Europe, I was one of them, as I had experience on it previously, and I ended up was put as captain of Team Europe, and had these 4 other athletes. 2 of them were boulderers, really top quality boulderers, and we ended up beating America and Japan, who had way more experience than us. Really? I was the only one with any actual course experience, and everyone else on my team was just talented, but and I got the record time on stage 1 that's ever recorded.
How'd you do that?
Vegan. no, I just parkour, I think.
Wait, so are you peaking in parkour? Are you coming
I'm always peaking. No, I'm always. I feel like I've never been at the peak of where I could be. I feel like I know what it takes to make the optimum athlete possible. I have to prove it. That's my role right now. That's why I want to do less work. I want to stay grounded. I want to stay in London. I've got my places I need to go to train. I want to train. I want to prove to people, like, raw veganism, yoga, Bikram yoga, mixed with any athletic event you do will make you a better athlete. I promise that. And then just the balance of rock climbing and parkour will just make me good.
And rock climbing has something to do with you winning, you think?
Ninja Warrior?
Yeah.
No, because actually the stage I got the fastest time on is more just parkour. Okay. But I was just more focused. And even, the
How old are you?
26.
Okay, and you're still peaking?
Yeah, I'm not there.
You're peaking for the next 20 years,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And more about your routine. Do you do any meditation? You said you were trying to go raw before 4, or?
Yeah, raw till training.
Okay.
I try and do that because when you eat raw and then you train, you feel great. You feel fantastic. You feel so light. It's hydrating. We're like born 80% water. You die at like 40% water.
Is that
if you
really?
If you can keep that water level topped up, whatever it is, it's still a sway.
So you're constantly getting dehydrated, is it?
Yeah, and if you eat cooked food, you're dehydrating your food and then eating it, and it's dehydrating you because it's hot. Whereas if you eat hydrating fruits, it keeps you topped up. For breakfast every day, I just have half a watermelon every day, and then I'll go through, maybe have a smoothie in the day. And if I just eat raw and train, you feel great, and then after your final session of the day, You can have a cooked meal, potatoes, rice, whatever. Enjoy it. Have as much as you want. This diet, I feel I can eat 2 massive plates of potato and it's fine.
Right.
You know?
And when you did your parkour training for Ninja Warrior, how do you do that? Do you have like certain routines you go through?
No, for Ninja Warrior, I just needed to do bouldering. Really, is my grip strength.
Okay.
But next year I'm going to enter the normal season and just work on grip strength, because the parkour keeps its own. It's just that little. I know how to build a perfect athlete for Ninja Warrior, I think, as well. So.
Last thing, you deal with haters sometimes, and there was some ice bucket haters and stuff like that. But you've been such a public guy for a long time. Like, do you find that you deal with it differently now? Do you need to listen to haters a little bit?
Yeah, you do. You can learn a lot from them.
You do, right?
But because you bite, and when you bite, then there's still work to be done. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But you can learn with them without biting, right? You can learn from them without biting.
Yeah, you can learn without biting.
But you still bite? I would have thought you would have been.
No,
past
no, not often.
Okay.
But occasionally, not more haters. I bite more on discussions about veganism because of ignorant comments.
Okay.
But I'm getting better. What I realized in life, we're constantly rising to happiness and well-being, like a cork in water. You're just always headed there, but we do things from day to day that knock us back down, and it lowers your vibration. You feel it. You feel that sinking. You argue back, and then they give a response that is always going to be just more annoying than the last time they responded, and it makes you feel that. And if you just slowly observe these things we do day to day, sometimes it's just checking Facebook at once an hour and looking through the feed.
Right.
You come out of it, you turn your phone off, and you'll be duller.
And that brings you down, right?
It'll bring you down. So we do these things day to day. You've got to learn to observe what these actions are day to day that lower your vibration, and slowly cut them out, because then you constantly you can start to sink here. And that's the one thing I've learned. And that's haters is exactly an example of that. Is responding to them lowers your vibration, and it never gives a good outcome. If you delete them, block them, 2 minutes later, you don't even remember it, you know?
So don't engage.
Don't engage.
That's what you're learning.
It's obvious advice. I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, I know.
Anything new. I need my own advice sometimes, you know?
I think you can learn. I think you have to kind of just know that it's being said, and you can adjust your narrative or what you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, you can learn a lot from your haters as long as you don't, digest them, you know? You don't want to take on that negative energy.
I still know I've got ego when it upsets me, you know? And
Right.
it tests my real faith, because if you really believe in something, it doesn't matter what other people say about it.
Yeah. Constant test, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would ask you the usual advice questions, but you've answered them before. But if someone's listening around the world that wants to, to explore veganism, and it's hard in their community, how do they do it? Because a lot of people think if they don't have, the whole foods and these things in urban populations that they can't do it. What do you tell those people?
Rice and vegetables, man. Some people say it's expensive. You say, it's rice and vegetables. It's
beans too.
Beans, yeah, of course. Lentils, all the good stuff.
India does it right? They do.
India do it good. I mean, even Egypt minus the meat.
Thailand,
Israel. Right? I went to Ethiopian restaurant the other day.
Okay.
They're vegan for 3.5 months of the year. Like they just laugh like, yeah, that's easy. Like they understood it. Some places you're trying to have to explain what you mean. They just like, yeah, cool. It's just eat more fruits, rice and vegetables. People are afraid of fruit. They think fruit will make them fat, or too much sugar is bad for them.
Right. Not true.
I mean, intuitively, look at a piece of fruit. Is that going to make you fat? Like, look at an apple. If you eat do you think you're going to get these, like, no. It's bullshit. The thing with that is people, if you eat too much fat before sugar, the fat coats your insulin receptors with fat, and then the insulin receptors can't extract the insulin from the sugar as it passes through. If you don't eat fat, then the insulin receptors stay clean and it can extract it without a single problem. The only spikes you see for people with diabetes and that is if they eat fat with the carbs, a lot of fat, like fried food, cooked foods, oils. So I try and eat low oil, low salt, and as raw as possible fruits and vegetables. Just eat loads of fruit. Look at chimpanzees aren't fat and they eat fruit all day. Like they eat bananas. 30 bananas if you need to. If I don't have 5 bananas in a smoothie, then it's way too small for me. Like mostly like 8 or 10 bananas.
Really? You can eat that many?
Oh yeah.
You're training too a lot, so.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. You won't get fat on fruit.
Yeah.
The fat you eat is the fat that you wear.
Right.
Not fruit.
Right. Or refined sugars and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah. And fruit comes with the antidote for everything that's in it. Like fruit isn't stupid. It wants you to eat it. If it was in any way bad for you, it wouldn't be very intelligent, would it? Because it would be the humans aren't going to eat much of it. Fruit wants you to eat it so that it can spread its seed. So it's healthy for you for a reason, so that you want to eat more of it, and it makes you feel good. It's not like slowly poisoning you so that you don't eat more of it. No, because then you wouldn't want to spread it. It wants you to like it and enjoy it so that you do go back and spread more. It's a symbiotic relationship that we've ignored, and we think that we're smarter than, but intuitively, logically, it's there, man.
I love it, man. I love the fact that you're stepping up and becoming like the vegan spokesman, and you're not afraid of that. So that's good. And I mean, you could choose to.
My role, well, you know, that's kind of a sacrifice of ego, because I'm going to be judged for it.
No, I know.
And I have to allow that. Yeah,
it's going to be hard. And let's be honest, you could choose to do a lot of other things. So I'm glad this found you, or you found this.
Yeah.
And there you go. I like the new look, man. What's with the headband and the necklace? Did you get it at the Woodstock Festival?
No. Every day I'm changing. These were from Egypt, but
okay.
I'm just growing my hair. Kind of a hair grows for a reason. I actually grew this for a bit, but I thought if it grows for a reason. And who am I to decide what it should look like or trim it down? Surely it's, I'm questioning our creator when I cut it. So I grew everything for a bit, but then that just separated me too much from society.
Oh, did it?
So I thought one step in spiritual door and I shaved this.
Were you getting ostracized with the beard?
I felt so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And barefoot? You showed up last time to the Bruce Perry episode.
Yeah.
It was one of my best Timothy Shieff moments. You were barefoot. You just come from the tube barefoot.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shoes? And you're like, no shoes. I'm rocking no shoes. And I was really inspired by that.
I'm barefoot a lot.
Yeah.
Around London, I do hikes barefoot around Epping Forest. And wherever I'm in the world, I try and do it. I was in Thailand recently, Hong Kong, was barefoot a lot.
Really? Out on the streets?
Out on the streets, yeah.
Wow, fantastic. All right, good. How can people contact you if they want to buy some of your naked art? Is that something they could do through your website?
That's on beautifulcrimes.com. It should be out soon. But Spirit of Tim will have everything. spiritoftim.com. Anything that's important. I really am quite lazy. I don't update it much. So if it's important, it will be on there. If it's not that important, it won't be. But there's Twitter. I don't have Twitter or Facebook on my phone. Which really helped free me up.
So you took them off?
Yeah. I just have Instagram because it's less opinionated. It's just images.
Right.
So my Instagram is my favorite feed, really. Instagram is at Timothy Shieff.
Okay.
And it's just more quite artistic, hopefully.
Do you put yourself on a bit of an information diet? Did you try to step away from social media, or not do it at night?
If you can, it's the most rewarding thing because your only input is from yourself and not from external sources. And you can get a million external sources just scrolling through Facebook feed, and it's just not healthy when you step away from it.
The Facebook feed is the worst, I think. I catch myself on there like once every 4 or 5 days, and I catch myself and I'm like, what are you doing?
You can go on it for hours. Like it's like feels fun, right? It feels fun.
At first, and then
someone said
gross.
It stimulates that same part of your brain as cocaine does, or something.
Or like casino, like slot machines or something. Yeah. Yeah, it was like I used to watch those cops shows where the cops in America would take people and then arrest them, and it would be like, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is interesting," and then I got this just negative vibe from it. I'm like, "Why am I watching these people in horrible situations?" So
that doesn't serve you. It doesn't. Yeah, exactly. Stop watching anything like the news, all this negative stuff. I mean,
watch
it's been said a million times. Yeah, watch True News, the Trues, Russell Brand. Change your Facebook. If you have it in the little bar at the top and you click Facebook, just make sure it's not the home page. Make sure it's your named page,
right?
So then when you click Facebook, you can just check your messages and notifications rather than end up on the feed page.
Right.
That's one little tip. It's like,
good tip.
And my Twitter on my computer again goes to notifications, not to my feed. So really, they're just sources of messages, and I can respond to people there.
Right. Good advice. Get off social media.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Tim. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully we're going to have this conversation once every couple of years, and we can see the evolution of both of us.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. It's good to see your evolution too, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's about the journey. We're both on it, and all the best, buddy. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, man.
What we call reality is in fact nothing more than a culturally sanctioned and linguistically reinforced hallucination.
This week on London Real, we have movement artist Ido Portal.
So people think it's about handstands and, jumping on the rings and doing flips or whatever, when actually our work is way, way beyond that. It's a completely different and a huge paradigm shift in the way that you think about your practice and your movement and your body. We all have a body and we all move. We have no choice. The only question is how well are you doing it? And most people just don't have the user manual for their own machinery. Changing your dogma takes guts. I don't believe in planning. I believe in reacting. I'm not the Messiah. I'm a thinker. I'm a teacher. I'm a mover. I'm being Ido. I'm just trying to handle myself in that way and be genuine.
On Sunday, London Real presents Ido Portal. Just move.
Walk beside me. Don't walk behind me.